positivity. It's basically a way of escaping an illusion where you tell yourself that you're happy. You feed yourself with positive thoughts while trying to escape your situation without facing it, which is a negative side. So have you read like quotes like saying, be happy, or think always about the positive? That is great, but if you don't face your problems, that's an issue, which creates the concept of toxic positivity. Next slide. So these are the example quotes I've taken from the internet, which I see people commonly post. Like, pretending to be happy when you are in pain is just an example of how strong you are as a person. That's a lie. Basically, you are just a liar. Because why? You're not strong enough to show that you are emotional and vulnerable. Basically, you are trying to hide yourself, and at the same time, that's not good for you anyways. So pretending to be happy is a concept that is basically toxic positivity by its finest. So next slide, please. Okay, so the greatest thing that I've seen as a person who has consumed self-help books, like Poor Man Rich Dad or like How to Influence People, is the illusion of doing something. So what is the illusion of doing something? The illusion of doing something is you do something to feel accomplished while not doing it. It's like the feeling of doing progress because you're consuming something that makes you feel accomplished. Illusion of progress by procrastinating. It's like cleaning your room before you have a final exam. Like, that's good, right? But like that satisfaction, you're not doing your goal. You're not studying for your exams. So reading these books continuously creates a rabbit hole for you where you keep consuming these books while not practicing the advice of it. And this is not your fault. It's actually marketed like that. So the self-help industry also causes the illusion of doing nothing. You're like pretending that you're doing something, but you're not accomplishing your goal. You're just listening to advice, going to seminars, reading books, but while not doing anything about it. So this illusion of doing is also caused by addiction of self-help books. So the addiction is that basically whenever you read these books, your dopamine level rises. Dopamine level rises because you feel good about it. Basically, if you're doing something good, then your dopamine levels rises, and when your dopamine level rises, then basically that's the core idea of addiction. Just like when you take drugs, it's not the drugs that actually make you addicted. It's like your dopamine levels, because it causes your dopamine levels to rise. So this constant addiction behavior puts you into this situation where you want to like take those advice again and again. And you create this cult behavior. So I enlisted cult behavior because I've seen a lot of self-help seminars where these people repeat what these people say. They listen to them. It's their core advice. Like, they believe everything what that person says on the stage is true, which may be true, but like it's marketed in a way of that's such of addiction. Like, you have to buy the next product again. There's 7 rules of an effective person, but there's always the 8th, because there's always another book. There's always the 50th rule, the 2nd rule. Each time, these books are programmed for you to read it again and again without doing anything. So next slide, please. So the self-help industry is such a big industry that it's $11.6 billion. That's a huge industry. And like, you can see how these people are profiting off of these, like your addiction, your despair. Look, like the self-help industry comes and seeks in when you're the most vulnerable person. You are in this painful state where you want improvement, and you seek these improvement from these books while not actually caring of what you're putting in your head because it's good. Because you're waking up in the morning and you're doing this and that. A book is telling you that in 7 different ways. So this is the self-help industry's worth. Next slide, please. So fake gurus. So I hope you have seen these 2 people on like one person's Instagram, and I've seen this guy in the Lebawi community, like videos he says how you and stuff. So I call these fake people, not fake people, but fake gurus, is that they have different tactics. Like Tai Lopez always advertises hustle culture, a slide that we're going to talk about next. And Prince EA creates this fear-mongering tactic. He paints the world much more worse than it is to make his advice much more glamorous. It's that very beautiful motivational music in the background, and he's uplifting you. And all of his facts and bases are not listed down. He just talks about studies. And I'm not the one who actually said there's a lot of bunch of YouTubers have proven that Prince A bases his ideas on studies that don't exist. And that's a red flag for everyone. If you have an influencer, if you're listening to them and if they don't list the studies below their description, then they're talking false. Or like, unless they talk where they got their sources from. So hustle culture. So this is something that I've seen promoted ever since I was a child. So hustle culture is a style and concept of romanticizing hard work, meaning that you're overworking yourself. You're bragging about not sleeping. Oh, he slept 3 hours. I work 8 hours a day. What are you doing? You know? And like, sorry. And now like, a lot of people who are into hustle culture, as I listed on my PowerPoint, is that you're insanely obsessed with the movie called Wolf of Wall Street because, you know, if you've seen that movie, then you know how like Leonardo DiCaprio plays a character where he works to death and gets a lot of money and that satisfaction, and overworking yourself, living in such an unhealthy lifestyle. Next slide, please. So these are the exhibit A and B of hustle culture at its finest in Instagram. So I've seen a lot of, sorry, but boys are very guilty of posting this. You know, there'll be this guy with a suit on and like, success! You know, now because there's this advice of like, alone but very powerful. No, you're just alone. You're lonely. This slide expresses the hustle culture at its finest. It's like at 25, others are getting married and having kids, while I'm just like, I'm working to death to get a Rolls Royce that most probably depreciate after 10 years. So like, this is just a culture that's happened with capitalism. So like, you're bragging about, you're like trading your life for money and relationships and connections just because you want to be part of this small club, or like a small club of like not sleeping and bragging about the days you work. Next slide. So yeah, these are the two influencers I said, exhibit A and B. These people give advice about working hard all day. And like, yes, they give good advices, but the way of targeting is like, this guy has said that he had the hustle muscle, which it's very embarrassing for me, but like, over time, like these people have improved the ways they're influencing people because a lot of people have criticized them. But they constantly bring this vibe of, you have to work hard to death in order to live in this life, which is false. It's just, this is what capitalism has brought to you. It's a lie. You can work little and the stock market will still be the same because you're insignificant to the stock market because you don't decide anything. So these people are promoting for you not to sleep and wake up. It's okay if you wake up undecided or like any time. If you're doing what you want to do, it's okay. You don't have to work. You don't have to lack sleep. This is an unhealthy promotion of lifestyle. Like, it's basically unhealthy. That girl, Kala Wagatu, is basically a girl who's very aesthetically pleasing to watch. She works hard, everything, she's got to figure it out. She has purpose in life, you know? And like, she wakes up and she has these kind of photos, you know, and she doesn't have to take it 700 times. So basically, she's such pleasing to see, but she's no different than those businessmen just telling young boys not to sleep 8 hours a day. But next slide. So exhibit A, B, C. So these are the photos we have seen in Pinterest, we have seen in Instagram, you know, in each girl's story that it's all about me now, I am improving. But these people don't show the downsides of life. They feel like, they tell like young girls like us that if you have this schedule, everything's gonna be fine. Look at my morning schedule. I wake up and there's all of a sudden background music, you know? Like, basically, it's very like a different way of perfectionism in our community. Now, just to wrap things up, next slide. So this is also part of the toxic culture promoted to girls.